Alright. Back to the Minecrafty world. I've got no idea where I was up to or what I've been doing because I've taken pretty much a 3 week break to cleanse my head of reality and, well, at least the Minecraftia, and get on with other things. Trying to work out what I'm going to talk about this time, but yeah, what the hey? I have no idea. So, hey, let's go sources of information. Where do you find out all this funky stuff about the computerings? Well, given that it's currently, woohoo, I've got my own little valley here. Don't know what I'm going to do with it. Should do something useful. Let's cut down some trees. Possibly even with some lava. Oh my god, I earned an achievement. Aren't I lucky? Yeah, so gathering information. I've had questions in the past about where do you find this stuff out and that sort of stuff. Um, Depending on, I suppose, what facet of computer knowledge you wish to discover, is where you'd start looking. Strangely enough, Wikipedia is a really good source for computer-based information. It gives you general knowledge. Hey, it's an encyclopedia after all. And it is really written by a lot of computer nerds, strangely enough. I know I shouldn't be using trees to chop down trees. No, wood to chop down trees. But I'm going to do it anyway. Rebel. Yeah, so it's a good place to start. There have been a number of books released over the decades. God, it is decades now, isn't it? That's almost kind of scary, really. But the thing is, theoretical knowledge on its own is just not good enough. You need to be able to gain skills in the area. Like most of the stuff I'm talking about here is really computer security. So how do you do this sort of stuff? There are a couple of books that have been released that are immensely useful. I think I've mentioned in the past Clifford Stoll's The Cuckoo's Egg and Bruce Sterling's The Hacker Crackdown. Both of them are more historical texts of what happened, basically, in previous ages. The Clifford Stoll's book's really useful because it gives you a rundown of the techniques he uses to catch computer hackers, and that sort of stuff. But a lot of it comes down to psychological techniques because he set up a part of the computer system for that one that really was just secluded off a little bit of it was basically an empty computer, and they basically locked it down so tight that there was no possible way to gain access to it. That's just what they'd done to it, because the way you get access to a computer is that it has an open port that you can then dial in on and basically have a go at the internals. But you need to be able to establish that connection as a first port of call. This is what makes web servers vulnerable because port 80 or 8080, depending on exactly what's opened up, is a prime location to just go in and try and see if that you can establish a connection that they don't want but you want. I know it sounds a bit nebulous here at the moment, but how do I explain it? It's like the door to my little fortress under the ground here, right? If this door is like a port into the computer, and that's the computer in there. And now I'm going to do the tricky thing of adding a firewall. Woohoo! Firewall. And it goes everywhere. I don't want to be standing there. I might just pick this fire up again and hopefully it doesn't lava everywhere. I really don't want to set myself on fire. But the essence here is the door is the port. The firewall checks traffic to make sure it's okay to go in. In fact, the firewall is actually on the inside of the port, not the outside, but semantics. And so port 80 gives you access into the system. And this little area here would be the web server. I need some more doors to block off bits and pieces. Do I have some kicking around? I should do. I thought I'd grab some. Anyhow, I'll make some more. So we have the need of doors. I'll just get enough to make some. Too much wood. So here I have a stack of doors, right? So let's start putting doors in random locations to make things happen. Yeah, it's perfect. I know this is completely secure, but hey, it's a conceptual thing. So this little room here sealed off with all the doors around it. I know they're not perfect doors, but hey, let's just go with the analogy anyway. This allows me into the web server to access X, Y, or Z, the basic web stuff. Now, if I manage to hack my way through this door with an axe, I get access to another part of the system. Maybe it's a derelict empty system like this that I shouldn't have access to anyway, but there's nothing important there. If I choose to hack my way through this door, I might be able to go through and access the bowels of the system. And if I'm able to do that, I can probably then sneak past other doors like these here. So, conceptually speaking, this is what hackers are actually trying to do, is break through various parts of the system to access other parts of the system. And if you can get control of a computer system, then you can also then control the outgoing connections. So instead of just coming in through port 80, you can then say duck out a different port. And the Robert T. Morris internet worm, which I've talked about previously, used some of those mechanisms to do its thing. So here we have a technical problem. You want to be able to let people in to access the resources that they should, but you want to block them off from all the other resources. How on earth do you do this? And you do this securely. That then leads to some very interesting and challenging problems for computer security boffins. That would be you. Where do I put the apples? I'm going to have an apple. Apples are healthy. This has been sponsored by Skillshare, your supplier of apples. Anyhow, so as you go through and build systems, installing Linux or whatever else you want to do to make things happen, you need to be aware of what doors to open and what doors to not leave open. And so the first phase of security is really taking things such as which I hear nasty things somewhere. I wonder where they are. Anyhow, is to decide what doors to leave open, what doors to close, basically. So each port number will do a particular thing. So, as I said, 80 is a great port for web browsing or controlling internet traffic. I think it's 21 or 23 is great for Telnet. Telnet is a service that should never be used because it is a computer security person's worst nightmare in terms of how safe is it, because it's not ever. Just in there, I think. Yeah, and this is the problem with some of the older services, because when they were created, and the entire internet was created not with security in mind. I didn't want to jump into that. Let's just seal that back up again and forget about it, huh? It was designed as a platform to share information between academics. And of course, academics are not going to want to break the system they're using. And this is the basic idea behind it. It's like, well, why would you break the playground you're in? I know there are people out there who would want to break all the toys, but this is not what I'm concerned with. I'm concerned with making effective use of the toys you're allowed to use. Okay, I'm going to have to try and work my way around that. Okay, well, that's a start. Yeah, sorry, I keep getting distracted by Minecraft. Oh, the things I do. I might just drop that there and pick that one up. So, yeah, I mean, this is the basic thing. And the original version of the internet, which was well, I suppose the second generation of it, which was moving away from its distributed military command network that could withstand a nuclear assault, to one that was used by academics for their research purposes, and really the foundation of what other stuff was built, was really just built on this open structure, because they didn't have need for security, and it was an idea that really didn't come into existence almost. People didn't think it was necessary, and for the most part they were right, because in that era, why would you need to secure your computer system? Because, there were not networks. Networks were not really a thing. However, with the advent of networks, starting in the 80s, possibly even the 70s, but that's sort of beyond the scope of what I know, so I'm not going to go there. You have this emerging security problem, in that you've got a whole bunch of almost a new generation of young students who want to explore and see what this technology can realistically do. And I should really start blocking up a lot of this stuff, because it's becoming nigh on pointless to wander around like I'm wandering. So, this way I may actually have some clue of what I'm doing, where I'm going, and ho-hum. No zombies this way. Probably might need to get some more torches. More noise. And a glitch in the distance. So, that didn't sound positive. That sounds like an Enderman in the distance somewhere. Anyhow, yeah, so I'm losing track of my point yet again. But the critical element here is that the original version of the internet as an idea was not intended to be what we've got now. It was actually established as, a different purpose. Makes it, I suppose, more interesting, but also more challenging to work with. Yeah. Oops. Let's see how bad that is up there. Oops. Probably not be falling to my doom. Well, that sounds like Narkies. Let's reseal this a little bit. Just there. And then I can let the water flow. Yeah, so anyhow, I was going somewhere with all this. Not too sure where it was yet. Time to go topside, I think, again. If I can find where the out was. This is the hassle with such large areas of exploration, and why I tend to seal stuff up, because I get lost. Too much for my little brain. Yeah, so you've got all these people accessing computer systems, doing all sorts of bits and pieces. Something familiar. Just got the feeling going the wrong way. Yeah, I am. Yeah, so security then starts to emerge. Systems get modified, kludged to make them operate better or offer security. I mean, even the fact is, the first generation of passwords, some of the people didn't like the fact that there were passwords. So what do? They said, make your password blank. And as a result, there are people who had nothing for their password, because basically, you sit down at the computer and you operate the computer. It's there, it's yours to operate. And if somebody else wants to come along and do whatever they're doing, then they do the same. And I'm going back and forth like a yo-yo. It's got to be out this. No. Yeah. So it makes it, computer, you turn it on, you do what you want to do, and then you turn it off and walk away. Consistent memory and mass storage weren't really a thing yet. And so you did your little piece on the computer and you walked off and did whatever. And the cat will complain it outside because the cat's not getting what it wants. So this made the whole existence of the computer a slightly more interesting thing for some people, because you could actually create and connect via networks. And then lo and behold, by doing that, you got a larger world opening up for you. But because the cat wants something, I'm going to have to stop there.